Ngikung kikun kibadu minum lak benda ciki formal school kibangi hapan siu dah kador kebaran barkum taling ba kane ka center nantang alala ban pendat ya ka matriculation dan ya ka exam matrix ke jong umtau snem ahja afui bangapun paul ka jing ai khuble yakin hikai par jong kane ka center bakila trishtom na ka benta jong niki khna school bangapun paul sa shi simpat ngapun paul ya kane ka jing ai khuble bakar pang ya ka SSA department bakalala banbu ya kan ka center hangne hasnang jungi hapongku hingkat ka jinga terelang jung ka spark barka amos pero academy wat lang along taga kana ka badu handrai ngaku apat ban kiu syatran ban petenge ke Jingpule ki jonga kunta nak kerpat dia phibar ki bapet ya kan ka video semua bah ya rap lam yang nak sinyang lam nak ka bentar jonga kana bangan peteng yang kini ke Jingpule ki jonga ki bakhang hajrang
Dakasi ka pratrek Iohlad ajar apuai ka office yang ka State Education Mission Authority ka jala haringkat ka jinga trailang bar ka jala Meghalaya Bharat Scouts and Guide la rakhe ya ka World Literacy Day ka bala sam khusnam shakinong gai bat parhakani adon kalang daud Additional Chief Secretary Meghalaya Education IS UDP walang bar Ushri AC Marak IS Chief Secretary Education ka jala lam bat kiwe
started in 1966 as declared by UNESCO and celebrated for the first time in 1967. So every year we have been celebrating. The whole idea and the whole objective of this day is to raise awareness about the importance of literacy as a matter of dignity and human rights. This is the main objective of observing the World Literacy Day. The aim is to make sure that we have a more literate and sustainable society by advancing literacy. How do we advance literacy? By imparting education to all those who are within the purview of getting educated, and also, as we have seen, to bring those who are out of schools and out of institutions or out of the system, to mainstream them and to bring them back to the educational system. Now the theme in this year is very important and very eye-catching. The theme of the World Literacy Day this year is Human-Centered Recovery to Narrow the Digital Divide. Recovery from what is the first question. Recovery from the impact the pandemic had in the last 2 years on the educational system. So how do we recover? We can recover, of course, by what we are resorting to, that is using technology. That is the most effective way. But to have a proficient and an optimal solution to this, we need digital inclusion. Now, are all the students covered digitally? That's the first question. We have not conducted any formal survey, but a random sampled survey made through telephone calls, made through conversations across the state will tell us that digital inclusion is still a dream. In fact, in the urban areas, only between 50 to 60% of the students have been able to access the classes, whether it's classroom learning or digital contents or using other tools like WhatsApp or Google Classrooms. Only between 50 to 60% in urban areas. In rural areas, only between 20 to 25% have been able to access, and that too, we are talking about upper primary section upwards. That is class 5 upwards, class 6 upwards, sorry. Talking about class 1 to class 5, especially in the rural areas, I can tell you that the situation is not very pleasing. That is the reason why we decided very quickly that schools should be started in the state. Amidst the pandemic, we still have a high positivity rate, but we had to take a call because of this challenge of digital inclusion, or rather digital exclusion. Now, we thought of opening the schools right from the month of August, but then the situation was not conducive at all at that point of time. Even now, many states are still not fully open. We have decided to open urban and rural, segregate them in different categories. Why? Because of this challenge that only about 20% are getting access to digital education in rural areas. Therefore, in rural areas, we say that, and we have given this permission that from class 6 upwards, they can go for classes, and class 1 to class 5, they can go to the schools, or the teachers can visit the students. There is no question of a student of class 1 to class 5 holding a mobile or a smartphone in the rural area. It's impossible. If somebody is thinking of that is being accomplished, it is totally false. It is not at all realistic. It's not at all pragmatic. Therefore, we have allowed the students to go to classroom. We have allowed the teachers to go for home visits as of today. All this to ensure what we found out in the survey, that there is a huge gap between urban and rural areas. Now, looking at the theme, we can say surely yes, digital literacy is nothing but a huge disruptive technology. Disruptive in the sense that it's something new, something which is unthinkable maybe a few years back, but bring changes in the processes with a positive impact. If we were digitally included in the whole state, yes, it would bring a huge positive impact, but because of the huge gap, we are suffering, the students are suffering, therefore we have to move ahead and start classes early. We have not even changed the syllabus, we have not truncated the syllabus this year because we are going to extend the academic calendar, because what we have learned from last year after truncating the syllabus, that the process of learning also got impacted. For example, if there are 5 chapters and we have continued with chapter 1, chapter 3 and chapter 5, missing chapter 2 and 4, in many cases that level of continuity is not there anymore, and therefore it impacts the learning process of the student. Therefore, we have decided this year, let's see, we will try to go with the whole syllabus. We will increase the academic calendar, we'll extend the academic calendar beyond December, which we had announced initially, and with the hope that it will bring some positive change, positive impact on the students, and there won't be any gaps in their learning. Now, what is the biggest challenge in the state of Meghalaya today? If you look at the NAS report, that is National Assessment Survey report, which they conduct at 3 levels to see how much the students have learned, we have found that as far as English is concerned, as far as social science is concerned, we are doing okay compared to the national average. When it comes to science and maths, we are below the national average. And the worst thing is that our foundations are very, very poor in the schools. Therefore, Government of India has noted that there is a basic flaw in the learning system, and foundation is poor not only in Meghalaya, but it's poor throughout the country. Therefore, focus now will shift to foundational learning and numeracy. A new mission is going to start, FLN mission, Foundational Learning and Numeracy Mission, under the overall umbrella of SSA, to focus and concentrate more on the foundation that is given up to class 3 for the students throughout the country. This is a very good step because I'll tell you, for example, this year we allowed all the students to appear for the matric exam. we didn't have any selection tests. We said, okay, because of the pandemic, difficult to hold a selection test, let all of them appear for the matric exams. And when we declared the results, we saw that the pass percentage was still very low, in the vicinity of around 50%. Most of those who did not appear for the selection test actually flunked the exam also. Private candidates who did not appear for the selection test, they flunked the exams. Those who have been appearing every year. Because there's a huge group, about between 15 and 20,000 who appear for the selection test every year, and they flunk and they can't write the main exam. This year we allowed them also. And almost all of them actually failed the main exam also. This goes on to show that there is very poor foundation. Because they don't go to mainstream schools up to class 9, class 10. They appear as private candidates. So they have been making attempts to write the matric exams without proper foundation, and therefore they keep on failing the selection test and they fail the main exam also. And we thought that CBSE 99% pass, ICSE in excess of 95% pass. Why matric exam so less, only about 50% pass? So we did a little bit of research to find out what is the reason. And we realized that so many candidates, you'll be surprised, many candidates don't even write anything in the answer sheets. So how can you even think of giving them grace marks when nothing's written in the answer sheet? Many submit blank answer sheets also. So therefore, I think so, what the government of India has initiated through this program of foundation literacy and numeracy, which will come in the form of what they call as Nipun Bharat scheme, is very, very important to ensure that focus is laid on foundational learning up to class 3. Up to class 3, the focus is learning to read. Learning to read. And from class 3 upwards, class 4 upwards, it will be reading to learn. So let's hope that as we are making the plans now, as we are designing the protocols, designing the curriculum, we hope that by next year we will be able to give good inputs to the students, especially in the rural areas, because the real challenge here in our state is in rural areas, in far-flung areas. It's always a challenge. The number of villages are so huge in the state, more than 9,000 plus habitation. Each and every habitation has to have a school, has to have classrooms, has to have teachers. So it's a big challenge. But I'm sure with the cooperation of all the stakeholders, we will be able to move ahead. As we sang in the beginning, we will take this challenge and work together to ensure a better learning for the students and a better society in the future. And I hope that with technology, the process of digital inclusion will also improve in the future days. Telecom companies are coming forward. In fact, I learned that Honorable Chief Minister was in Delhi yesterday and had a number of meetings with telecom companies also to set up additional towers so that the signal reaches far-flung areas and reaches what they call as the last mile, to ensure last mile connectivity. Once last mile connectivity is assured, then digital education also, the whole idea will be done, and access to digital education also can easily be made in the rural areas. So with these few words, I would like to thank everyone who are present here. This is a very important day. Focus is to bring students who are out of school into the mainstream so that they get their education, they become literate, they become employable, which is very, very important. And as Basama was saying, not necessarily for getting a job, but for earning a livelihood. Literacy doesn't mean only knowing how to read and to write. Literacy could be, in 1966, when they coined this word, world literacy, they coined and they started this day, World Literacy Day, they never envisaged that literacy would also mean not only reading and writing, but also digital literacy, and also financial literacy. So we have to look at all these aspects, and once the students are made aware of all these challenges and all that, then as mentioned, it's not only jobs, but livelihood is what they should be able to achieve. So these few words, I wish all of you the very best from the State Office of the Project Director of SSA. They have been making these efforts to bring back and streamline students who are out of school. We have a huge dropout rate, and this dropout rate has recently increased in the last 1.5 years because of the closure of schools, because of the pandemic. We will try to bring them back. We will try to mainstream them again, and I'm sure the efforts will not go to waste under the leadership of our State Project Director, who's present here, Bros Marak. So thank you.
So the topic given to me today was, assigned to me was the right to education. And the RTE Act of 2009 was sort of a modality for the realization of Article 21 of the Constitution. So, and subsequently the amendment of 2019 has come about. And I'll just touch upon the, the highlights of the right to education. For as we are all aware, that free and compulsory education between the ages of 6 to 14 has been, guaranteed to all the citizens of the country. Then, as per the RTE Act, benchmarks have been set in, as in the ratio of students, the quality and quantity of teachers that is supposed to be there, the number of working days that is supposed to be there. I'm sure the Education Department will be more in a better position to expound on that, the working modalities. And special provisions have been made for special causes for people with different abilities, and that rules have been laid down, guidelines have been laid down regarding discrimination and harassment in schools. And education as a whole it's been an evolving concept. Earlier, education would be just to read a textbook and give you exams, but now it has been made more wholesome. You have extracurricular activities, you have project works, you have different of methods of education. Other than that, even we have had the controversial topic of the detention. So it is a debatable concept whether to detain someone while going through the schools, whether it breeds complacency or whether it is, that is not for us to say, that is for the lawmakers to say, but even that is one of the highlights of the right to education. There's even the concepts of reservation of seats, 25% of seats in all the private institutions for the socially disadvantaged and the economically backward people. So these are the highlights of the right to education, and subsequently in the 2019 amendment, certain changes have been made to rectify the Act and the shortcomings that were therein. It is admitted, by the various governments of department, I'm sure the executive that's sitting here, the administrative executive, and from us from the judiciary also, that we are often playing catch up when it comes to various aspects of life, whether it be technology, implementation of technology, or setting down rules or regulations, or trying to regulate various aspects of maybe now the internet. Internet is such a concept that we are unable to keep up through rules, regulations, through legislations. So, the interest of all the organs of the government, be it the executive, be it the legislature, or be it the judiciary, is for the safeguard of the people. And we are often trying hard. We are working in tandem to ensure that the rights of the people are not infringed upon and the interests of the people are safeguarded.